one thing that your viewers have to walk away with is this. Neither 504 plans nor IEPs are valid after students graduate from high school or in some cases age out of the system.
So can you repeat that again?
Yep. Neither 504 plans nor IEPs are valid when students graduate from high school or they age out of the system. So what is understandably confusing is when you look at my work, you're going to see that I say students who have IEPs have those under, and this is where we turn into alphabet soup. An IEP, Individualized Education Plan, is given to students who qualify under IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. That act does not apply to colleges. And so while the text does not say anywhere, this means your IEP expires, that is essentially the effect. So then people say, but aha, Elizabeth, I also see in your work, Section 504 applies at colleges. My kid's got a Section 504 plan, or worse, my kid's school district, or I asked them to, moved my student from an IEP to a 504 senior year because I heard that 504 plans are valid at college because 504 applies there, and that is not true either. So subpart D is the part of Section 504 that covers K through 12. Colleges are covered by subpart E, and it is a vastly different part of the law. The demands are very different than they are for K through 12 schools. And there are some exceptions written into the laws of things that colleges don't have to do for students. So if your viewers walk away with nothing else, they should understand that colleges may ask to see their 504 or IEP, or they may accept it as a form of documentation, sometimes, and not all by itself. But even if they give students the same accommodations that were written into the high school plan, it's not because they have to follow those plans. It's because they thought the same accommodations were appropriate. And what's really important about that is I run this Facebook community and I run it pretty tightly to keep people from asking questions and then answering them about stuff like this. Occasionally somebody will try to ask, what should I have put in my students' senior year IEP or 504 plan to make sure they get it at college? That's not how this works. So, nothing should be in a student's plan that they're not using, first of all, in my opinion.
Right.
And also, just because it appears there, if it's not supported by what the student's disability is, if it's not appropriate at college, or if it's not something we have to provide, having it written in there it doesn't mean anything. I always want students to register with our office, and I always want them to ask for what they think they need, because there's a very good possibility they're going to get that. What I'm trying to do, and I try not to be a Debbie Downer, is just to be sort of, straightforward about the fact that this is a shift, that things can be different. I would assume thousands and thousands of students go to college every year and they get what they need and they're successful. But I can just tell the research in our field is a huge problem, meaning the lack of research in our field is a huge problem. So I like to lean on numbers because I think they're objective and they at least give some shape to when I say frequently or not. And let me point this out, Harlan. When you get to the appendix, there was that big longitudinal study that I discussed. And what percentage of students did not even register for accommodation? So that's actually a whole different conversation.